What happens when a writer-director with no oversight sets out to make a sequel that intentionally deconstructs the previous work by ungraciously killing the hero we knew and loved in an attempt at subversion for subversion's sake? You get The Last of Us Part 2. Couple quick notes before we begin the video essay. Number 1. Full spoilers for The Last Jedi and The Last of Us Parts 1 and 2. Number 2, I want to hear what you think in the comments below, but let's be classy and keep the comments civil. And number 3, here at LHG, we're a new channel, so if you could hit that subscribe button, that would mean the world to us. So without further ado, we're proud to present The Last Jedi of Us. There are many similarities between Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi and Neil Druckman's The Last of Us Part 2. Many of them are good. An intense commitment to the director's vision, near-perfect technical execution, and well, they certainly didn't phone it in. And I'll go one further by saying that as an isolated film, I still think The Last Jedi is the best directed movie in the new sequel trilogy. But, much like Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi, The Last of Us Part 2 devalues the legacy of Joel by assuming we'd be so blown away by the subversive filmmaking we wouldn't mind abandoning Ellie for literally half the game. And at least Jedi allows us to experience a full Luke Skywalker story, albeit a neutered one. The Last of Us Part 2 kills Joel almost immediately and then makes us spend 15 hours playing as Joel's killer, begging us to empathize with her because the director made it his personal mission to get us to do so. I feel that what Druckman so miscalculated was that the second he made us watch Abby bash Joel's head in with a golf club, she became the villain. We were never going to like her, and I don't know anyone who played The Last of Us Part 2 that wound up feeling anything but resentment towards her, even at the end of the game. Rian Johnson once said to never give the fans what they want, but what he and Druckman also failed to do was give the fans what they needed. Directors like Johnson and Druckman punch us in the balls with their art and then argue that the pain we're now feeling makes the art good because we're experiencing something so visceral. We don't go to Star Wars to see Luke be a bitch. And we don't play Ellie's revenge tale only to find Druckman is getting revenge on us for wanting something specific in our game. But critics love subversion, and the discrepancy between the critics' reviews and the gamer reviews is eerily similar in both The Last Jedi and The Last of Us Part 2. And I would beg any future auteurs watching this to consider that giving people what they want doesn't have to be a bad thing when done right. One only need experience Cory Barlog's genius God of War to understand how to create a blockbuster that succeeds in subversion by the elevation of the characters we love and not the desecration of those characters to prove the director could actually pull it off. And I'm not arguing against Joel's death. In fact, I was not only okay with Joel's death being the game's inciting incident, based on Joel's actions at the end of the first game, I was actually expecting it. But in the continuation of that story, I wanted a whole game dedicated to Ellie's reaction to that tragic event. Not half Ellie's revenge story and half a Walking Dead-style ensemble drama with characters we've just met and frankly don't really care about. In many ways, the second half of The Last of Us Part 2 is a 13-hour Canto Bight scene from The Last Jedi, a pointless diversion the director is forcing us to take because he has something deep to say. Ellie's half of The Last of Us Part 2 is incredible. Abby's half is a joyless chore, and it sucks that that was kind of the point. But this is not to say you shouldn't experience either The Last Jedi or The Last of Us Part 2. Despite the story's shortcomings, the execution of both is unarguably masterful. I mentioned earlier in the video that I think in isolation, The Last Jedi is the best film in the new sequel trilogy, and I stand by it. While Force Awakens and The Rise of Skywalker attempt to spoon-feed us what it thinks we want with no real style, Last Jedi has style in spades, and for better or worse, really feels like a cohesive product. It's a very, very well-made movie, and while I resent its treatment of the characters, I have to appreciate the balls it took to so wholeheartedly commit to its flawed premise. As a game, The Last of Us Part 2 shares a lot of that DNA. It's perhaps the best graphics I've ever seen on a video game, and the achievement in animation, world design, and genuinely emotive acting in digital characters cannot be understated. It's a technical masterclass, and even despite the flawed story structure, the execution of story presentation is so good it needs to be experienced by anyone interested in the technical progression of the medium. Just don't expect it to be fun. Neither The Last Jedi or The Last of Us Part 2 are fun products to sit through. And in fact, The Last of Us Part 2 isn't just not fun, it's maximum overdrive not fun, which it actually gets off on. And to be honest, it's a real shame, because while the first Last of Us was similarly dark, the relationship between Joel and Ellie was the light that balanced out the darkness. The best art understands this balance between light and dark, but quote-unquote shocking art simply doesn't care. Movies like The Last Jedi and games like The Last of Us Part 2 will always succeed in the shock their directors so crave, but stories that honor and deepen the characters we love are the ones we actually want to revisit once they're over.